Westward expansion. Mr. Fulton's journey. As she stepped from the dock onto the boat, the lady in the pink dress held a matching pink parasol or umbrella above her head. It was a sunny August day in 1807 in New York City, and she wanted to protect her delicate skin from the sunlight. She smiled at one of the boat's owners. "Mr. Fulton," she said, "I hope your boat will do everything that you've built her to do." The lady's husband shook Mr. Fulton's hand and said, "It will be a great day if you succeed, Fulton, a great day indeed." Then the couple walked forward to join the other ladies and gentlemen already on board. The man whom they had greeted, Robert Fulton, wore a confident smile, but inside he was terribly nervous. He thought to himself, "If all goes well today, I'll be rich, and the people all over the world will know my name. But if I fail, I'll lose a great deal of money, and I'll be laughed at as a dreamer and a fool. That must not happen." Fulton felt a hand on his shoulder and turned to find his business partner at his side, Robert Livingston. Robert Livingston was a wealthy, important man. He had worked for the government both in the United States and in Europe. Many years ago in 1801, while Fulton was in Europe doing business, he met Livingston at a restaurant in Paris, France. Fulton told Livingston, "What I'm working on right now will forever change the way people travel and the way in which everyone does business." Livingston's eyes lit up with interest. "Tell me more, Fulton," he said. "Well, as you know, an Englishman has invented what he calls a steam engine. Basically, you light a coal or wood fire inside of a furnace to heat a boiler of water. When the fire gets very hot, the water is also heated and steam, or water vapor, comes off it. That steam is fed to an engine and provides energy to power the engine." "Well, yes, I have heard of this steam engine," Livingston replied. "Please continue." "I'm sure you've also heard of steamboats." "Well, actually I have," said Livingston. Fulton continued, "Well, Livingston, I plan on building one. But my steamboat will be much better than the ones already made. I shall use steam power to turn paddles on the back of the boat. With steam turning the paddles, the boat will move more quickly than by using human muscle or wind in a sail." "Extraordinary," said Livingston. "That's not all," Fulton continued. "My boat will be flat on the bottom, not curved. This will allow us to carry more people and products on each voyage. Picture a whole fleet of boats, Livingston. Why, the owners would become richer than even you or I can imagine." Livingston noticed that Fulton had used the word "us" as if he were already sure that Livingston would join him in this project. Livingston didn't mind. He agreed to help fund the plan, and the two friends became partners. Livingston knew that Fulton was not the only inventor working to design a steamboat, but the two men thought that Fulton's design was far better than any other. After many years of countless improvements to the boat's design, the day for the steamboat's first voyage had finally arrived. Now, standing on deck, Livingston said, "Those were our last guests coming aboard, Fulton. We can begin our journey whenever you're ready." Fulton turned to his boat's captain, who told him, "The engine is all fired up, sir. I'm just awaiting your orders." "Then let us begin," Fulton answered. The captain called to several sailors, "Cast off the bow and stern lines." The sailors untied the thick ropes holding the boat to the dock. Then the captain turned to the pilot, whose job it was to steer the boat, and told him, "Take us to Albany." As the guests on board and the spectators on the dock began to cheer, steam began to pour from the boat's smokestack. The steamboat was on its way. The plan was to travel along the wide Hudson River from New York City to the state capital of Albany, stopping briefly at Livingston's home in Claremont, New York. This explains the name of Fulton's steamboat, the North River Steamboat of Claremont. Not only did the steamboat have to make the trip safely in order to show that steam travel would work, the boat also had to move faster than any other types of boats, or no one would see any reason to switch to steam. As the viewers on dock watched the steamboat paddle away, some people said, "I don't see how they'll ever do it." Others said, "Well, let's wait and see. After all, this fellow Fulton convinced Robert Livingston, a man who controls much of the river travel in New York, that his plan would work." The believers were right. About 2 days later, a second crowd stood cheering on the dock in Albany as Fulton's steamboat puffed into view. The steamboat had taken less than 2 days for a voyage that usually took sailing ships 4 days. "Congratulations, Mr. Fulton," said the lady in the pink dress as she and her husband stepped off the boat. "Many didn't believe it could be done, but you proved them wrong." Shaking Fulton's hand, Livingston said, "Congratulations, Fulton. New York will never be the same." "No, Livingston," Fulton replied, "the world will never be the same." Robert Fulton was right. Over the next few years, the two partners set a whole fleet of steamboats afloat on the Hudson River and the Mississippi River. People realized that steamboats were faster, much cheaper, and much more reliable than other types of transportation. There was only one problem. Steamboats needed rivers to travel on, and there were no rivers between some of the biggest cities. So, people still couldn't use steamboats to go everywhere they wanted.